Up ahead, Kuminga. Oh! Jonathan Kuminga! And a foul! All the way, see man and ball. Push ahead, Kuminga. The human helicopter! Stop! Jonathan Kuminga climbs to the iron and punches it in.
Brandon Pajemski has shown a steady balance of leadership, shooting, and composure for a player who only turned 21 in the middle of his rookie season. Moses Moody, who came into the league at the age of 19, signed a 3-year, $39 million extension, as he showed steady improvement over the years. Even Trace Jackson Davis was a phenomenal choice for a 57th overall pick. But above all else, there's one player on the Warriors, the only player with superstar potential, but with a skill set that's incredibly rare, and it's what separates him from the rest of the NBA. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's take a look at the post-Steph Curry era of the Golden State Warriors. What does their future look like? It's still somewhat uncertain due to Kuminga's negotiations for a new contract. As you can tell, it's a tense time for a franchise transitioning into a new era. But will their best young player be there for the ride? Jonathan Kuminga is a special player. Here's a fun fact. Since the NBA started tracking dunks back in 1998, Jonathan Kuminga broke the Warriors' record for most dunks in a single season, with 138.
They play Portland at home. Tickets are still available for that. Right-handed hammer! He just put Tice all the way in.
He did that in his third season at the age of 21, and yet he's only 6'8", with limited range as well, since nearly 2/3 of his shot attempts are within 10 feet of the basket. It's crazy how young he is, yet he's already breaking several franchise records. Another one in January of 2024, Kuminga tied the franchise record for most field goals made without a miss. He went 11 for 11, almost every shot in the paint, from floaters, layups, tough shots near the basket. It's not like he was just catching alley-oops or getting easy dunks. It was a hard 11 for 11.
Jackson Davis playing with Kuminga. They kind of cleared the lane. Look at this. JK! Show and go!
In fact, in his third season, he converted nearly 3/4 of his attempts in the restricted area. That's about the same percentage as the average center. Considering this is where he takes the bulk of his attempts, that's super impressive. The defense knows he's going to try and get as close to the basket as possible, but they cannot stop him. Jonathan Kuminga is the definition of a player who plays bigger than he is. I mean, in terms of size, 6'8", 210, he's the prototypical size for a small forward. Lanky, fast, athletic. Yet his skill set is that of a small center with ball handling skills. However, despite Kuminga's exceptional skill set, there are plenty of aspects of his game that leave a lot to be desired. In particular, his moments of being completely brain dead. Often missing rotations, not giving any efforts on defense, falling asleep, and not boxing out. Averaging such few rebounds a game is problematic for a guy who spends 90% of his time at power forward or center. This has led to hesitancy among the Warriors organization, not knowing how much they should commit to Jonathan Kuminga. Before we dive into his weaknesses, let's rewind a bit and see the circumstances surrounding his contract negotiations. A few years before Kuminga's breakout season, he was described by several executives as the NBA's best-kept secret. As the Golden State Warriors were still winning championships with their main core of guys as late as 2022, Kuminga had the chance to observe what it was like to be part of a winning culture and fit into a system that emphasizes high-quality shots and playing as a single unit. Even as a rookie, we saw flashes of what he could ultimately become. A devastating, relentless offensive threat. Though back then, he didn't have much opportunity to show it, because the Warriors were still trying to contend for the championship, putting a back seat to the development of their younger players. Even so, Kuminga, in his first 2 years in limited minutes, showed out whenever he got the chance to play, even if it was garbage time. Most importantly, it's Kuminga's confidence and motivation to succeed that separates him from his peers. Yet it's that same confidence that has sparked several confrontations and arguments with his coaching staff over the years. This was most apparent in an interview back on December 26, 2023, where everything came to a head.
Curry trying to get into a three, lobs it up left-handed, got it on the rim, nothing more, and that will do it.
It was the day after the Warriors lost on Christmas Day, when Kuminga played only 23 minutes in a very close game against Denver. Oh, you bet he let his frustrations be known to the public. Quote, "Sometimes I come out the game not knowing what I did, and that messes with my head. It's like, what they want me to do. I am a difference maker, I know I am, but it's not up to me to do certain things. How can I say it? It's not up to me to control my minutes." Around the same time, there were several reports of other disgruntled young players on the Warriors. They've mentioned that Steve Kerr is way more lenient when the older guys make a mistake, but when the young fellas do it, he benches them instantly. It's a tale that goes back as long as competitive sports has been around. Young players do, in fact, get coached harder because they need to develop good habits and have it ingrained in their head so they don't get comfortable making mistakes. And for Kuminga, when he does make a mistake, getting benched will teach him not to do it again. At least, that's Steve Kerr's coaching style. This kind of coaching tactic doesn't work with everyone. Some players prefer their young guys to make mistakes and learn as they go. But for the Warriors, they were still kind of trying to win games and still trying to compete for the title, so he was kind of harsh on them. One thing's for certain, Steve Kerr knew that Jonathan Kuminga was on his way to becoming possibly the new face of the franchise after Steph Curry. This brings us to the 2024 offseason. For the Golden State Warriors, after a season of missing the playoffs and the subsequent departure of Klay Thompson, it signaled the beginning of a new era. Their priority? To re-sign Jonathan Kuminga. Unfortunately, that turned out to be their biggest obstacle over the offseason, as the negotiations fell through several times. The Warriors have tried offering him several rookie extensions, all of which he rejected. Apparently, according to sources, Kuminga demanded, quote, well over $30 million per year on his extension, which the Warriors were very hesitant to give. Heck, there have been rumors around the Warriors front office that Kuminga wanted the maximum rookie extension, in the same vein as his fellow draft class peers, Cade Cunningham and Scottie Barnes, both of whom signed a colossal $220 million extension. Could you call it delusion? Perhaps. While Cunningham and Barnes are the franchise players of their respective teams, the jury is still out on Kuminga, who the Warriors are still uncertain on. He could be the franchise player, but they need another year to see. All of this, it's a great example of his overzealous confidence, and that's what made all the contract talk so difficult. Perhaps there could also be a sense of jealousy and envy. Kuminga, in theory, got drafted into the perfect situation, joining a team on the tail end of their dynasty, trying to transition into a new era. He has veterans to look up to, he has the greatest shooter of all time to look up to, who can help him develop his own shot. But as perfect as this seems, Kuminga wants more. He observed his fellow draftmates get paid $200+ million to be the first option, and to have the green light on their teams to do whatever they want. And maybe Kuminga wants to be in their shoes, to have all the minutes, all the touches he wants, as opposed to being benched and having a tight leash from Steve Kerr. Ultimately, Kuminga's decision to wait until 2025 free agency is a choice based on his own confidence, that he deserves to be paid more, because he fiercely believes he can be the new face of the Golden State Warriors. Unless he miraculously drops off in his 4th season, the Warriors will do all they can to retain him, and will match any offer thrown his way. I think Kuminga made the right choice in waiting, and barring any catastrophic setbacks, he will get the money he deserves. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking highly of Kuminga's skill set and how unique he is as a player. What exactly are the reasons that make the Warriors unsure about paying him a boatload of money? Well, for one, his jump shot is very dicey. He has a soft release, but it's slow. He has shown the capability to hit threes on a low volume, but almost all of his three-point shots are assisted, and he needs to be set up or wide open to feel comfortable taking them. This isn't a guy who's going to do a crossover hezzy pull-up like James Harden or Kevin Durant. Kuminga will never, ever be that guy. What he will do is a crossover and take you to the hole with his elite speed and athleticism. For a guy who spends so much time scoring in the paint, he's kinda undersized. But 6'8" with elite athleticism is still a matchup nightmare for anybody. Kuminga is a natural-sized small forward, but in most lineups where he plays power forward, nobody can guard him or keep up with him on the perimeter. The term matchup nightmare gets tossed around a lot. Even if you have a better matchup, it doesn't mean you can take advantage of it. For Kuminga, it's accurate. He does have the skills and talent to take advantage of bigger, slower players.
Right there. Kuminga from Curry! Did you see how hyped Steph was?
Unfortunately, it's also accurate at the other end, too. Despite drawing comparisons to Jaylen Brown, Kuminga has a severe lack of intangibles. There's a lot of little things on defense, and just in general, that he just cannot grasp. For example, he's often late on switches. His defensive IQ is quite poor. Despite his athletic gifts, he has a serious lack of discipline. As I mentioned earlier, he's a player who spends almost all his minutes as a big, yet he's still a horrendous rebounder. Though his rebounding issues are in fact a symptom of a bigger issue: his lack of motor and lack of effort. The dude looks as energetic as anybody on the court and gives 100% effort when he has the ball in his hands, but that's it. Only when he has the ball in his hands does he seem interested in the game. It seems like he selectively chooses when to give effort and when to not. When Kuminga is not scoring, he simply doesn't care. Take a look at this play right here.
Let him take his time if no one comes. He's got all the moves down there and pump fakes.
Kuminga just falls asleep and gives up an open three. And here, again, his teammate Dario Saric needed to rotate off his man to help, cause Kuminga isn't paying attention. Or here, he gets lost, again, tries to recover, but then gets blown by, cause he doesn't even have a proper defensive stance. It's little plays like this that coaches pay attention to, and it adds up over time. That's why he often gets pulled from the game. At the end of the day, the future of the Golden State Warriors will be determined by the development of Jonathan Kuminga. They haven't had the best luck with their young players. Remember how they had the number 2 pick back in 2020? Yeah, James Wiseman was supposed to be their next star, but we know how that turned out. Jordan Poole used to look super promising, but we know how that turned out. Not good. Then, with Kuminga's uncertain future, it's a very dicey rebuild for the NBA's most recent fallen dynasty. Hey, you never know, maybe the future face of this franchise will be somebody who's not yet in the league. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, your opinion on Jonathan Kuminga. Do you see him staying with the Warriors long term, and do you see him becoming the face of this franchise? Let me know in the comments, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.